All right, guys, so today we're starting notes 8-2. We're going to be graphing to solve systems again, but today we're going to be messing with inequalities, so that's where we're going to have to shade. So the first thing we normally have to do is solve them for y. Our first two already solved that way. It says solve each system. We have x is greater than 5 and y is less than or equal to 4. So if you remember when we are graphing inequalities, we have to remember if it's a dotted or solid line. Well, x is greater than 5 would be a dotted line. And since x is greater than 5, we're going to shade to the right. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one. And if you remember, x equals means it's going to be a vertical line at 5. So I'll count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's dotted, so I'm just going to draw my dotted line vertically through that point. Okay, so there's our first graph, and we want all the x's that are bigger than 5. So I'm going to shade this side of my graph. Now, we're about to do the other line, and we're going to have to shade it as well. I'm going to change colors just so we can see it a little bit better. And we're going to have to plot and shade this one as well. Now, this time it's less than or equal to, so that's going to be a solid line. And since y is less than that, we're going to shade below. And if you're having trouble with where to shade, sometimes you draw it and it's easier to see. So y equals would be a vertical line that, or a horizontal line that goes through 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right here. It's solid, so I'll sketch in my line. And I want all the y's that are less than or equal to 4, so that means I'm going to shade down. Now, one of these regions that we just shaded, both of them shaded. If you look over here, I've got the shading of both of my lines in this area. That is the area where my solutions lie. So what you're going to do is shade where the overlap is. Those are your answers. So I'm just going to put a little arrow there. We can write overlap is the answers, or are the answers. So this is the same thing we've done before. It's just now you're doing two at once. You got to be careful and make it neat, or you will not be able to tell where your answers are. So I suggest when you shade the first time, you do it real lightly. Then when you get your overlap, you darken it in, just kind of like I did. All right, guys, so let's go to one that's a little more complex. So now we've got y is less than or equal to 2x plus 3, and y is less than negative x plus 1. So let's go ahead and make sure that we know how we're drawing our lines. Y is less than or equal to would be a solid line. And since y is less than or equal to our equation, we're going to shade below. So let's go ahead and plot that one. Now, if you look at this, you can remember that we have a slope that's 2, so I'm going to write 2 over 1. And we have a y-intercept of 3, so that's the point 0, 3. So let's use that to plot our points. So over 0, up 3, I'm going to be about right here. We're going to go up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. Remember, we probably need to make a lot of points to make this look right. So I'm going to go left 2 down, or left 1 down 2, the exact opposite. And now I'm going to sketch my line, and it's solid. Now it says on here that we need to shade below because we want all the y's that are less than that. So I'm going to shade below my line. Okay. Now let me switch colors here. Let's look at the other one. Now it's less than, so that means it's going to be dotted. And since y is less than our equation, again, we're going to shade below. So let's use the slope of this one and its y-intercept. It has a slope of negative 1, so that's negative 1 over 1. And our y-intercept is at 1, so 0.01. So over 0, up 1. Now let's plot some of our points. My slope is negative 1 over 1, so I'm going to go down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. Then I'm going to do the exact opposite to go up the other direction. I'm going to connect these with a dotted line. And then it said to shade below this one again, so we're going to shade below. Now again, if you look, we have some overlapping area. It looks like it's this part here, so I'm going to shade in a little bit darker. And there's our answer. So again, basically this is all we've done before. We're just kind of doing two at once. Neatness is very important, so be careful. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Now these kind of combine what we did yesterday. Before we can graph these, we're going to have to solve them for y. So I'm going to start with the 2y plus x is less than 6. I'm going to solve it for y. The first thing I'm going to have to do is subtract that x to the other side. Then you get 2y is less than negative x plus 6. Now we have to get y by itself, so I'm going to divide everything by 2. When you do that, you get y is less than, negative x over 2 is really negative 1/2 x. 6 divided by 2 is plus 3. So now we can use that to plot our points and find out how to shade. It's less than, so it's going to be dotted. And since it's less than, it's also going to be shaded below. We have a slope. Our m is negative 1/2. And our y-intercept is 3, so it's the point 0, 3. So I'm going to come over here and graph this one. So let's see, over 0, up 3 would be about right here. It's negative 1 over 2, so I'm going to go down 1 right 2. And I'm going to draw in my dotted line. Okay. It's said to shade below, so I'll mark my shade below. So we've got one of them done. I'm going to switch colors. Now let's do the other equation. 3x minus y is less than 4. The first thing, of course, we've got to move our x's to the other side, so minus 3x. That leaves me negative y is less than negative 3x plus 4. Now, we can't have that negative y on there, so we're going to have to divide everything by negative 1. But remember, if you divide or multiply a negative across an inequality, it's going to flip. So now we're going to have positive y, but now it's going to be greater than. Negative 3 over negative 1 is positive 3x. 4 divided by negative 1 will be negative 4. So again, we have greater than, so it's going to be a dotted line. And since y is greater than our equation, we're going to shade above. We have a slope that's equal to 3, so positive 3 over 1. Our y-intercept is negative 4, so the point 0, negative 4. So let's see, 0, negative 4, 2, 3, 4. Our slope is 3, so it's going to be 3 up 3 over 1. And again, it's a dotted line. So we're going to draw on our dotted line. So this time it said shade above, so we're going to shade above our line. And if you look again, we have some overlap in this area right here, so I'm going to darken it in. That's where all of our solutions lie. All right. So again, it's the same things that we've been doing, you just have to be really careful. Let's go to the next one. All right, guys, so number 4 is essentially the same thing. You can already tell we have greater than and equal to and less than equal to, so our lines are going to be solid. Let's go ahead and start solving these for y. So I'm going to start with the 2x plus y is greater than or equal to 4. The first thing I need to do is move my x's. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So now I have y is greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 4. So we got it solved for y. We already talked before, since it's also equal to, it's going to be a solid line. And remember, if it's solid, that means points on the line are also solutions. Since y is greater than or equal to, we're going to shade above. We have a slope that's negative 2, so negative 2 over 1, rise over run. Our y-intercept is 4, so we're going to have the point 0, 4. I'm going to come over to my graph. I'm going to start with point 0, 4. And since my slope is negative 2 over 1, I'm going to go down 2, right 1. down 2, right 1. I'm going to connect those together with a solid line. Okay? It says we're going to shade above that, so let's shade this way. Okay? I'm going to switch colors here. Let's go ahead and fix the other equation. Now we have 3x minus y is less than or equal to 6. So let's go ahead and move our x's again, minus 3x. So now I have negative y is less than or equal to negative 3x plus 6. But I have a negative on my y, so I divide everything by negative 1. And just like on the last one, when you divide or multiply a negative over an inequality, it's going to flip. So I'm going to have positive y is greater than or equal to positive 3x minus 6. So we can tell, again, it's going to be a solid line because it's also equal to. And y is greater than again, so we're going to shade above. We have a slope of 3, so that's 3 over 1. Our y-intercept is negative 6, so that's the point 0, negative 6. So let's plot those points. So 0, negative 6 starts right there. We're going to go up 3 over 1 for our rise over run. We're going to connect those points together with a solid line. And now it says on this one that we're going to shade above as well. Well, that's going to be on this side. So if you see my overlap is this section right here. Now guys, the shading above and below, I know that can be kind of tough sometimes. If you're having troubles with that, we need to talk about it in class. But I promise you, we have done this before, so you just might have to think back to what we did then. I kind of have my view here in a kind of a rough spot, but the next two questions are talking about this graph that we just did. It says name 3 points in the solution. There's lots of ways we can get this. Any points that are in that completely shaded region, that shaded overlap, those are going to be answers to our equations, okay? So we could pick any of those points. Now, since these were also equal to, not just greater than or less than, we could also pick any points that are on our line. So if I look over here, and can I kind of go back up to the graph? Let me change colors here. Maybe we can see. These points are on the line, and they border the region that we've shaded. So I'm going to pick a couple of those points, and those will be solutions. Let's see, one of those points is going to be 2, 2. Another one of those points that's on those lines is 0.47. And another one that's on there is negative 1, 9. Now, those are just 3 out of tons and tons of solutions. Any point that's in that shaded region will work. Remember, if these were dotted lines, though, those points wouldn't work because those have to be greater than the line. So what I did on this one was I just picked any point. Sorry, sometimes my pen cuts out. On the line. That borders the double shaded area or the overlap. Whoops, the overlap region. So we want to name, now the next one, I don't really have the room on this, so I'm going to kind of answer it over here to the side, guys. This says name 3 points not in the solution. Well, that's any 3 points anywhere else. So maybe the point 0, 0 is not in that shaded region or on the line around it. 2, negative 4 is not in that shaded region. Another one might be negative 4, 3. There's lots of other ones as well, anything that's not in the shaded region. So there's more points that are not solutions than are. All right, guys, let's look at, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. We'll call it part 1. I'll have part 2 up, and you can watch that.